Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of the Aftershock Corner. I'm doing the show solo this week because of the fact that I have a doctor's appointment later on and I have to leave at like 6:15. So if we did the show of everybody at once, we wouldn't get it done in time. So I feel like I'll just do the show solo this week, and then next week I'll do the show with people. I don't really know who I do it with, but I'll do it with some other people. Um, let's talk about this show. Before I start off the show, really, because I want to apologize for what happened last week with the technical difficulties we had with Google Hangout not working properly, with kicking me off, and then you not being able to hear James, and then Facebook call was glitching out. It kept failing the call, and James kept getting kicked off, and then we ended up just getting kicked off. Google Hangout just kicked us off before we could really finish the video. So I want to apologize last week for the technical difficulties. I'm really pissed about that. Like, I'm not too pissed about it now, but I was pissed then because that was the first episode of this show, and I wanted it to be good, and it ended up sucking because of the technical difficulties. I don't know what's going on with Google Hangout. It's just really sucking lately. I heard it was sucking before, and I was trying to stay away from it. However, I felt more comfortable with it last week. But of course, when I finally felt comfortable with it, it ended up glitching out on us. So I want to apologize because I really would like to sincerely apologize. I'm back this week, and I'm going to review Raw and SmackDown for this week. I'm not going to review NXT. I'm actually 2 weeks behind on NXT. I'm not going to review NXT on this episode. I'm going to wait until, I'm going to wait until next week where we'll review all the episodes of NXT that have happened or taken place. I don't really know what the case is because I want to wait till James and John are here for it because they really like NXT, so I want to wait for them. And I'm going to be honest, if this show ends up failing, well, it just ends up being just me on the show, I don't think that will happen. I think hopefully it's just, or if we end up getting like Google glitches and stuff like that, then I'm just gonna wait until the Massasoit Wrestling Corner returns to do a video with them. I just wanted to keep them in line on the channel because I thought the corner was really successful this week. So yeah, I actually have to tell a story because that's normally what the Massasoit Wrestling Corner does, and this is the same thing. So I gotta think of a story that I want to do. Trying to think of a story. I actually had a big week last week, so I'm trying to think of a story. Let me think. Well, I guess a story I can tell you. He's gonna kill me for telling this, but it's a really funny story. I don't think he'll mind. So, I wasn't there for this, but I heard about it, so I'm gonna talk about it. So, we were at a restaurant. It was like a big fancy restaurant. And they had these stairs that you go down. Apparently, my aunt, uncle, and grandfather went upstairs because they had to go get the car. And my grandfather was like talking to the waitress or something, and he just ended up falling. And it was pretty bad too. Like, he ended up taking a pretty bad fall. But I wasn't there for this. So then when he got up, he says, I'm drunk. So I've been drinking tonight, sorry. And he leaves, and then my aunt says he doesn't even drink. I thought that was great. So that's the story for this week. It's actually a pretty exciting story. So here's the story. So now let me talk about Let me talk about Raw. From I guess last week, since it's Monday. Raw took place on December 28th, 2015. Now, I'm going to make a note of this that I'm not going to do the Raw review the same way I normally do it every week where I talk about every segment just because of the fact that I already kind of did a Raw review this week. You just can't see it yet. You're going to see it eventually, but just not right now. The reason I'm gonna organize it differently this week, because then if you see this video and see it done the same way on the next video, then it's just gonna feel like the same stuff, and I want to spice things up. So I'm gonna do my Raw review a little differently this week. And I don't really remember anything that happened since the show took place last week, and I haven't seen anything on it or anything like that. I do remember most of the stuff that happened. I might forget like a match or two, but you know. So let's talk about Raw. Let's talk about the first thing that happened on the show, the opening segment. Now, going into this show, I really didn't have any high hopes for it, because normally after TLC and then in between that gap between TLC going into the beginning of the new year where they start building up the Royal Rumble, for like 2 weeks WWE goes into a lull, which is understandable because that's when Christmas and New Year's is, so they don't, and so people aren't really interested in professional wrestling. They want to get their Christmas shopping done and get ready for the New Year, so WWE just goes into a little bit of a lull. However, so I was like, okay, this show may not be the greatest, but then Raw kicked off with Vincent Kennedy McMahon coming out, and I thought that was huge. I thought that was huge to start off with Vince McMahon. You know, I like the fact that Vince McMahon is on the show a lot more, because I think that definitely boosts the ratings. And when Vince McMahon's on the show, it means something. It's big because he's like rarely on nowadays, and the fact that he's having a more on-screen appearance on the shows is great. I don't think it should be like a permanent thing, but I think it should be at least a temporary thing. If you want to do it going into WrestleMania 32, that's fine. I'm all down for that. And I love heel Vince. You know, I think he's great. So he comes out and he talks about how Roman Reigns is going to have repercussions after beating the crap out of his son-in-law, Superman punching him in the face, and then embarrassing and turning his back on his daughter. You don't turn your back and embarrass a McMahon. And he talks, and then he continues talking, and then Roman Reigns eventually comes out, and Vince McMahon says that he could punish him badly. He could, and Reigns is like, well, what are you going to do? You're going to put me in like a gauntlet or a handicap match? And Vince McMahon says, well, I'm going to make you work. I'm going to make you wrestle match after match like I did with the Wild Samoans. I made my money off them. Then they busted their ass for me. And then he continues to talk crap about Roman Reigns' family. Roman Reigns ends up shoving Vince McMahon, and he ends up hurting, his neck ends up getting hurt. So then Stephanie McMahon comes out with police officers and wants Roman Reigns arrested for putting his hands on his father. And then the police officers refuse, and Stephanie McMahon goes ballistic about this, and the police officers tell her to calm down, or else they're gonna send her to jail. And then Vince McMahon comes up and says, "Don't talk to my daughter like that. I own this company. I own this building. I own everything." And he even talks about too how he even knows your father. And then Vince McMahon ends up grabbing one of the police officers by the collar, so that he ends up getting arrested. And when they go to read him his rights, they even say, well, you have the right to an attorney, and if you cannot afford one, he's like, you know what? You can afford one, because obviously he can afford one because he's a billionaire. So then Vince McMahon gets handcuffed, taken through the crowd, and he gets arrested, and they put him in the police car and send him to jail. And when one of the police officers forcefully put him in the police car, and Stephanie McMahon says, isn't that an officer assaulting a civilian? I forget what they called it, but saying that's pretty much illegal to do that. And I thought this was a great way to start off Raw. And I will admit, when they did come in the ring and started doing all that kind of stuff, I thought that was corny. But then eventually, I actually ended up liking it. And I like how they gave us updates on it by having Renee Young being out at the police station. And I liked that. She talks about too how he got charges pressed against him, and I liked that, and I thought that was great. So I'm gonna come back to that later on and eventually too, he ends up being bailed out of jail, and when he tries to get interviewed, he just goes right into his limousine. So then that was it, and I'm gonna come back to this because they do more with this at the end of the show. So then let's talk about some in-ring action. We had a first match on the show. We had Kevin Owens versus Neville. I remember this match. And Neville just beats Kevin Owens in like 15 seconds. I thought that was stupid. I thought that made Kevin Owens look really weak. It makes sense, I guess, because you want to have Neville look strong since he is the breakout star of the year. They even showed a little video package for him. And this match made a lot of sense because Kevin Owens thought he deserved this award. I just thought this was stupid that, you made Kevin Owens look weak by having him lose in 15 seconds. But then they rebuilt him. They had to beat the crap out of Neville afterwards. And he just beats the crap out of him. And then eventually he goes to give him the power bomb into the apron. And then Dean Ambrose comes out, and they stop brawling, and then Kevin Owens retreats. I thought this was fine. I thought Kevin Owens looked strong here. But then they do more with them later on in the night because they end up having a 6-man tag team match between Dean Ambrose and the Usos versus Sheamus. I believe it was Sheamus, Ken Barrett, and Rusev with Alberto Del Rio inside. And I actually thought it was a solid 6-man tag team matchup. I thought the League of Nations looked strong, and I thought Dean Ambrose and the Usos looked strong. And eventually, Sheamus pins one of the Usos with a brogue kick. And then afterwards, Kevin Owens comes out and he assaults Ambrose from behind. He powerbombs him through the announce table. And the way Kevin Owens looked and acted, he felt like a monster. He felt like a big deal. And I like this. I can't wait to see what they do with this. I'm actually kind of enjoying what they're doing with Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose for a feud for the Intercontinental Championship. I actually think it's really enjoyable. And I hope, because I think they're building up Kevin Owens for like a big match at WrestleMania. That's why he's been looking so strong lately. And obviously, I think that makes sense. And obviously, I think they're going to have Ambrose retain the IC belt. So I hope they make Kevin Owens lose in a way that still makes him look strong at the end. Either he loses and then he just lays out Ambrose afterwards. Or he can just lose and look really strong in the match, So I hope they make Kevin Owens look strong when he faces him for the when they end up having their rematch for the Intercontinental Championship. What else happened on this show? I'm trying to remember what else happened on this show. Making sure they had a Divas match between Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, and the crowd was chanting "Born" during the match. I didn't think the match was terrible. I thought it was a good match. I actually thought it would showcase the Divas really well. I don't really get why they chanted "Born." They chant "We want Sasha," but then they finally get Sasha, and then they chant "Born." It didn't really make a lot of sense. I really didn't think the match was that bad. I thought it was actually a solid Divas match, and I liked the stuff they were doing in the match. Sasha Banks wins with a cheap move. And the whole story with the match was that Charlotte wasn't there, so they were wondering if Becky Lynch was going to be able to face Team Bad in a 3-on-1 situation, and she wasn't able to do that. But I like that they teased that the match was going to be over when it wasn't over, so I thought that was good. So then, what else do we have on the show? We had a Miz TV segment that I thought kind of was really weird, where he was going to do a year news review about his career, and then every time he tries to do it, Ryback would come out, then talk about how this is going to be the year of the big guy, and then who else came out? We had Goldust coming out, and he cuts a weird promo on Miz, and then R-Truth comes out, and he talks about how he's going to win the Slammy Award for Superstar of the Year, and Miz tells him the Slammies were last week, and he's like, they were, and he's like, yeah, you won a Slammy. He's like, oh, the bad, this was on me. Zack Ryder came out, which made sense because they were in Brooklyn. Heath Slater came out, and he goes to talk, but then Big Show comes out and just runs roughshod over everybody, lays out everybody, and R-Truth knocks himself out, which I thought was hilarious. But then Big Show just choke slams him, and I really like the fact that they had to make Big Show look strong. I think they should have made Ryback look strong. But Big Show gets a mic and everyone's chanting, please retire at him, which I really wish he would retire. What ends up happening is Big Show says, well, how about I enter the Royal Rumble match at number 1 and win the whole thing? Which I think is going to end up happening. Big Show's going to look like a tail in the Rumble, and then some big name's going to come out, probably like Brock Lesnar or John Cena, and eliminate him, which is very predictable. I don't really know why you have to make Big Show look strong. I just really want... Why are they forcing Big Show down our throats in 2016 now? I just think he really needs to go. I hope WrestleMania 32 is his last match, because I just really don't care about the Big Show anymore. He's done everything that there is to do. There's no reason to force him down our throats anymore. But then it leads to a match between Big Show and Ryback, and Ryback just wins by countout. I thought the match was boring, and I thought it was stupid. So I don't know what's going on there, but Ryback wins by countout. Big deal. And then I like what they did with the New Day in the show. The New Day just gets better and better every week. And this is a match between Kofi Kingston and Kalisto, with Big E and Xavier Woods ringside, and Sin Cara was in Kalisto's corner. And the New Day cuts a promo talking about how they should have won the OMG Moment of the Year because they they even talk about too how they're gonna beat up their kids, and Xavier was like, "Don't you have a child?" He's like, "Yeah," and Kofi Kingston's like, "That's what's OMG about it." And he says that they say it's just alright. They say they should have been tag team of the year. I thought they cut a great promo, and I thought the match between Kofi and Kalisto was a solid match. I think they could have been a longer match. And okay, so let's continue with this. So I had to go do something real quick. So yeah, Kofi Kingston and Kalisto had a match, and it was a solid match, and Kalisto won because of distraction from Sin Cara and the New Day. And then Xavier Woods says that he's disappointed in Sin Cara because that he took such cheap low tactics. He's supposed to be an inspiration to the kids, and he says that Payback's a big E. So so he has a match with Big E, and there was a spot in the match where Big E pulled Sin Cara to the floor, and he ended up landing really awkwardly on his shoulder. So Sin Cara legitimately hurt his shoulder, but he still continued on with the match, and he actually took a rub at Mystico, who was the original Sin Cara, saying, "Hey, I at least can finish the match," which I thought was funny. And Big E still wins, and I thought that was fine. It was a way to make the New Day look strong, and the Lucha Dragon looked strong, so I thought that was fine. Did anything else happen on Raw this week? Gotta think. I know Neville was there. I don't think anything else happened. If I'm forgetting anything, just remind me in the comments. So then John Cena returns. This was the thing they were hyping all night, and I am happy Cena's back because I'm happy he's back. I don't know why everyone hated on him this year. He didn't really take over as much as they say, but they also did take over somewhat. So we had a match. Cena was going to face Del Rio, and Cena wanted Del Rio to put the U.S. title on the line because he feels like he's made that belt look like a joke. Cena would defend the championship every week. So Cena wants to face Del Rio for the belt, but Del Rio says no. Del Rio even says that he can beat Cena by himself because he did that at Hell in a Cell when he returned. But then eventually Del Rio agrees, and they have a match. They actually have a solid match for the title, and Cena's and the League of Nations interfere, and Cena's about to win with the AA, but the League of Nations attack Cena. Then the Usos run out, and they get beat up, and then Roman Reigns comes out, makes the save, and lays out everybody. And I thought that was kind of cool that they put Roman Reigns over big instead of a returning John Cena. I thought that was kind of cool. And then Vince McMahon comes out and announces that next week, Roman Reigns, which was now this week, but Roman Reigns is going to defend the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against Sheamus, and Vince McMahon's going to be the special guest referee. So I actually can't wait to see that. At least they're trying to do a big match on Raw. And that's huge. That's a huge match on Raw that's going to make people want to tune in to see what's going to happen. So I can't wait to see what does happen. And like I said, I thought Raw was good. If I had to give it a rating, I rated a 7 out of 10. The only things I really hated was the stuff with Big Show and Neville losing in like 15 seconds. I thought that was stupid. Well, Kevin Owens losing in like 15 seconds. But everything else I thought Raw was at least watchable and good. So, and like I told you, Vince McMahon being on Raw is something different. But I also like the 6-man match, John Cena returning, and the match he had with Del Rio. And I thought Raw was just flat out good this week. but I thought Raw was just flat out good this week. And this makes me wonder what's going to happen now. I think I have an idea, because actually I didn't even mention this, but The Rock is going to be at WrestleMania this year. I wasn't sure if he was going to be at WrestleMania. There was some along the fences that were telling me that he was going to be there, but then there was some that said that he has a kid and his movie schedule, he wasn't going to be able to do it. But he's going to be at WrestleMania. I'm happy about that. He does have passion for wrestling. If you say he doesn't have passion for wrestling, I think he does, because he doesn't have to make this time for professional wrestling. He doesn't have to make this time, but he's making it this time. And I was just thinking, and someone posted a video saying that this is his, I think, 6th straight WrestleMania, because he hosted 27. He fought Cena at 28 and beat him. He fought Cena at 29, then lost to him, and he was the champion going into that show. He had that opening promo segment at WrestleMania 30, and then the promo segment with Triple H. And this is his 6th straight WrestleMania. And to be honest with you, I think now that he's going to be at WrestleMania, I had my doubts about how WrestleMania 32 was going to look, because they were originally going to bring in these big guys, and then some of them weren't working out for, obvious reasons. But now, and we weren't sure about The Rock, and now that he is going to be there, that's gonna make it huge, because they want to break the attendance record with this show, and having The Rock be there is gonna help. The Rock's a big name in Hollywood, obviously a big name in professional wrestling. So I think having The Rock at WrestleMania is gonna help, and I can't wait to see what he does at WrestleMania. I don't know what role he's gonna be in, if it's gonna be a match, if it's gonna be a promo segment, and I think that could be cool. So now this kind of makes me wonder what the direction is, because now before I had a different mindset about what was going to happen at WrestleMania 32, but now I have a different mindset, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Like I said, Raw was good. I'm going to talk a little bit about this to review SmackDown. So let's talk about what I think is going to happen with Royal Rumble and WrestleMania 32. So with the Royal Rumble, you always question who's going to win the Royal Rumble. Who is going to win the Royal Rumble and go on to main event WrestleMania? That's the big question in everybody's mind. And there's a lot of options they can go down this time. And I hope they get this one right this year, because the past couple of years, they got it wrong. 2014, I thought the Royal Rumble match was crap. And then they didn't put Daniel Bryan in the match because they knew that he would be over, and they didn't want him to win that match. And then they had Batista win the match, and that was bad. Batista knew it was bad, so I hope they don't go down that path. Well, that was a bad path. And then last year was just so poorly booked, I can't even begin to tell you. Roman Reigns, it wasn't even just the fact he was the right guy to win it, but just the way the match was booked. He was getting hated on. You book a Royal Rumble match when you have The Rock come out and he gets booed. That's when you book something bad, when you have The Rock of all people get booed. That's when it's bad. There's all those other things about it that was booked poorly. Having Daniel Bryan come back too early from injury. And then when he came out in the Rumble match, he got eliminated just like that. That was bad. Having Big Show and Kane come out there and, just laying waste to everybody. And have the Final Four be down with Roman Reigns, Big Show, Kane, and Rusev. And it's bad when they were chanting for Rusev. For Rusev, the guy that was supporting Russia over Roman Reigns. That was just bad. So this year they got to get the Rumble right. I want to see the Rumble match itself be good and booked correctly, and the right guy win the Rumble. Now the question is, who is going to win the Royal Rumble? And I have no idea, but I have some options. Some of the options aren't going to happen that I'm just thinking of, but some of them I just want to happen. Like for... Hold on. Sorry for the interruption again. I didn't mean for that to happen. I had to take a phone call. So now I'm going to talk about the possible guys who are going to win the Rumble. Like I talked about, some of these names aren't going to happen, but these are just people I'm coming up with. So I'm going to go from the least likely and go to the most likely. So let's start with the least likely. I remember the New Day. I mean, the New Day has been the most entertaining thing on the show. And, I think they could carry a main event into a built-up match going into the main event of WrestleMania. Now, which member I think could happen is I think obviously it wouldn't be Kofi Kingston or Xavier Woods. I think the most likely would be Big E. I think he could look like a tail in the Royal Rumble match, and if he actually won it, that would be cool. I actually would like to see a Big E Roman Reigns match for the championship, and can you imagine the build-up too? Where the New Day cuts these entertaining promos on Roman Reigns, and I think it would be a different feel to a main event at WrestleMania. Yeah, it probably wouldn't be main event WrestleMania title match worthy with Roman Reigns versus Big E, but I don't really know if, with some of the guys that are coming back, which will get into the code, with some of the matches you're gonna get, I don't even know if the championship match really matters. So why not just give Big E a chance? I think Big E would be great. I actually think a Big E Roman Reigns match for the championship would be amazing. It's a match that hasn't happened yet, at least as far as I know of, and it would be, a semi-entertaining main event title match feud. I think it could work, and the New Day would be entertaining, and you can have Big E winning the Rumble, and I think people would believe Big E as a title contender. And hell, if you want to run with Big E as a WWE World Heavyweight Champion, that would be something different to do. Because one, they never had a black WWE champion, so that would be cool. That would be history making. And can you imagine too? It would be something cool and unique. So imagine having Big E as WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Or if you just want to have Roman Reigns retain the championship, then that would be fine. Obviously, another option would be Kevin Owens. He's been looking really strong lately, and in my opinion, he is the number one heel in the company, I would say, right now. So I think that would make sense if you did Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns. That's a matchup they haven't done yet. And then you could build some interest there. So why not do Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns? I think that would be cool. Having Kevin Owens win the Royal Rumble match. So obviously those are probably the least likely options. You can go with Dean Ambrose because they have storylines. You can have Ambrose win the Rumble and then Roman Reigns retain his title at Fastlane against somebody, or Elimination Chamber, whatever the next pay-per-view is. And then you can have Ambrose turn heel and have Ambrose versus Reigns. It would be a match that everyone would want to see. So why not do Ambrose versus Roman Reigns for the championship? But then you have to find a way to get the IC belt off of Ambrose, and you would have to have Kevin Owens winning back, which wouldn't really make any sense. So I don't really know if Ambrose is really the best option. I do see that match happening down the line, but maybe not at a WrestleMania, maybe at a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series, or even a Royal Rumble. But that match between Ambrose and Reigns would be huge. Obviously, Daniel Bryan's an option. You could have him return and just win the Rumble match. That would have been more of an option, though, if Sheamus was the champion. And then you could go with that, but I don't think they're going to do that either. I just don't really see why they would want to do a match between Reigns and Bryan for the belt. I just don't really see it. It would go over really well, but it would just be awkward. The dynamics did work before. If you have Bryan say that he's worked his whole life and he's worked to get this title, and now Reigns had to go through the same stuff, then maybe it could work, but it would just be kind of weird and off. Maybe you can even say that they're whipping off his storyline. So Daniel Bryan is an option, though. Obviously, you can go with John Cena. That's actually really likely if they went with John. Actually, no. Another one they could actually go with, I didn't think of, was actually before Cena, was The Undertaker. You can have him have, I hear they want to do one final match with him. You can have him have one final match where he wants to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and either he wins it for Roman Reigns or Roman Reigns can beat Undertaker. And it would be a huge spot for Roman Reigns that he gets to be the guy to have Undertaker's last match. And if Undertaker doesn't win, then that would be fine. But if Undertaker won and had one last hurrah for the belt, one last championship story, if he can get the job done, then that would be cool. And then obviously you have John Cena. I heard this is a match they've had penciled in for a while. I actually think it would be a big money match because you have Roman Reigns, who's going to be the next guy for the WWE, and John Cena. It would feel like a passing of the torch. You could have Cena lose to Roman Reigns and Reigns beat Cena for the and cleanly for the belt, and that would be believable. I would be fine with that. And you can actually do a lot of interesting stuff between Roman Reigns and John Cena. But the two most likely options that I think are going to win it is you can go down the Triple H path, where they've been feuding anyways, and you can have it culminate to a match at WrestleMania. You can have Triple H make a surprise return at the Royal Rumble at number 30 and just eliminate everybody. Well, not everybody, but eliminate, and he gets the title shot at WrestleMania. And you can have the final two, me and James talked about this, be Triple H and Daniel Bryan. And, you know, you can even have it go either way, just have Bryan win it. Or you can have Triple H get so much heat by eliminating the most over guy in the company. And Triple H, you would buy it as being a heel, and Reigns would be a face going into that match. And then you can have Roman Reigns beat Triple H and retain the title. You can even have The Rock come out and interfere in that match, and that would be cool. However, I don't think that's going to happen now. Now that The Rock's going to be involved with WrestleMania, I think they're going to go a complete different path. And I actually think they're going to have Brock Lesnar win the Rumble this year. It would make sense. He would look really strong if he won the Rumble. And I do think that they, you know, I would like to see a Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar match again, because their match last year I thought was a great stiff match. And this time you would buy it. You know, they have unfinished business because before the match was interrupted by a cash-in by Seth Rollins, and this time you can have all out. You can even throw a stipulation match on there, and you can even throw everything. You know, have Roman Reigns. You could still do the match with Triple H at some point, but you can have Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns' final obstacle is he has to get past Brock Lesnar. And then, you know, you can have Reigns beat Lesnar, or you can have Lesnar just beat Reigns, and it would be believable. I don't really know what direction they would go in. So that's who I think could win the Rumble. It's either Big E, Kevin Owens, Dean Ambrose, Daniel Bryan, John Cena, Undertaker, then Cena, Triple H, and Brock Lesnar. So they do have 8 options. They have other options that they want to swerve us. And I can't wait for the Royal Rumble this year. I'm looking forward to it so far. And it is going to be in the Rock's hometown in Miami. Well, it's going to be in Orlando, Florida. But maybe the Rock will be at the Royal Rumble too. You never know. But anyhow, so now that I've talked about the Rumble, let me talk about what I think the WrestleMania card is going to look like. There's a lot of options they could go with WrestleMania this year. But I'm going to do, instead of talking about the options they could go, I'm going to do what I think the card could look like. Because there's a lot of options with what they can do for the card at WrestleMania. But I think this card, if they want to break the attendance record, why not do this card? This card would make sense, and I would be fine if they did this card for WrestleMania. Now, for the pre-show, just do the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal if you really want to. I don't even know if they're going to continue with that this year. If they do, it really doesn't matter anymore. They already made that then a joke and a half by having Cesaro win it, didn't go nowhere. Then just having Big Show win it. Just put it on the pre-show. And you know what? I really don't care who wins the thing. I came up with a couple of options depending on what I do with WrestleMania. What they do. You could have Neville win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and that would be a nice WrestleMania moment for him. Or you could have it Miz win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. It really doesn't matter to me. Or if you really want to, you can have Bray Wyatt or Luke Harper win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Really doesn't matter to me. It all, like I said, I don't know. It all depends on what happens with the Wyatt family, because I have no idea. You could have Wyatt wrestle a one-on-one match with somebody, and then Harper win the Battle Royal, make the Wyatts look strong. Or you can have them being a team, like a 4-team match. But I'm not sure. But as of right now, the guys I could see, you know, if they do the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on the pre-show or kickoff, whatever they call it, the people I could see winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal would be Neville, The Miz, Bray Wyatt, or Luke Harper. So that's just my theory there. So then you have the actual show itself. So I have a few matches I've been thinking about for a while. So that's the kickoff. The first match on the show, if they really want to open it up with a nice tag team title match. You know. And the match I want to see at WrestleMania, I obviously want to see the New Day walk in as tag team champions. I think they're doing great as tag team champions right now, and having them walk in as tag team champions at WrestleMania, I think that would be fine. You can even have them go on a dominant path before that, have them beat tag teams like the Dudley Boys, the Lucha Dragons, the Usos, which I think they're going to be the next opponents for the New Day, and that would be fine. And you can have the New Day, and the team I can see them wrestling is Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. I feel they're coming up on the main roster soon, and you can have this be the big moment. They never were able to win the NXT Tag Team titles, and they can finally have the big moment at WrestleMania by winning the tag team titles. Enzo and Cass, and I would buy that. That would be cool. And I think that's the team that should beat the New Day for the tag team titles. If the Usos did, I would be fine with it. But I think the most over tag team right now, besides Chase and Jordan and Chad Gable, is Enzo and Cass. And you should pull the trigger and put the tag team titles on them at WrestleMania. And then if you want to do a U.S. title match, to be honest with you, I have no idea what you can do. You can do Del Rio. To be honest with you, I don't even think you should defend the U.S. belt just because I have no clue who you could have. If Del Rio is going to be the champion. So I have no idea. For the IC title match, a match I would buy is Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler for the IC title. You can have Dolph Ziggler turn heel, which was supposed to happen in October. And talk about how he's never had this big win. This can be his big Mania moment by having him either just turn heel at WrestleMania, or you can have him already be a heel and beat Ziggler and become beat Ambrose and become the brand new IC champion, and then you can do something else with Ambrose. Because I think after WrestleMania 32, you should start gearing him up to face Roman Reigns for the title. You can have Ziggler beat Ambrose for the IC belt, and that would be fine. I actually would buy that. And the match would be delivered too, so I think that would be a good IC championship match for WrestleMania, a good build-up feud. So then, what else we got? We got the Divas title. You want to do Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. I would buy that match. And obviously Charlotte would have to be a heel, and Sasha Banks somehow would have to turn face, which is fine, I guess, I don't really think the match, I don't know how the match will turn out depending on what they get with time, but we're going to have to wait and see with the Divas Championship match. I really just don't really care less, the Divas division is just atrocious, but you want to do that match. It's actually been a match that they're slowly progressing anyway, so do a match between Charlotte and Sasha Banks. I don't even know if they even know they'll even build it up to that match, not going to lie. But that would be a great WrestleMania match. You could even have Ric Flair be in Charlotte's corner and Snoop Dogg, who's Sasha Banks' cousin, be in Sasha Banks' corner. And you can have a promo segment between drunk Ric Flair and high Snoop Dogg. That would be awesome. So those are like the mid-card matches. I don't know what you could do with Bray Wyatt. I have some ideas of what you can do with them. You can have the Wyatt family wrestle the League of Nations. Or you can have Bray Wyatt wrestle Finn Balor. But I don't think Finn Balor is going to come to the main roster until the night after WrestleMania. So that's not happening. So those are some options there. But let's talk about the big future matches. The matches I kind of care about. And another match. So another match I didn't even think of would be a match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I know they want to do Kevin Owens versus Brock Lesnar. I didn't even think however, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn makes more storyline sense. They could have Sami Zayn be a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble match, and then what can happen is Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn Kevin Owens can be on a dominant path in the Rumble, and then Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens just stop brawling. And then they have that story from NXT. They brought it up before. And Sami Zayn eliminates Owens from the Rumble. And then afterwards, Kevin Owens eliminates Sami Zayn. They start brawling to the back. They can just beat the crap out of each other. And then if you want to do it... And then Sami Zayn, I don't know... The problem is if they do that, I feel like they would rush it and do it at Fastlane, which would be bad. But maybe they can find a way, if they want to do the match at Fastlane, to do like some sort of sketchy finish. And then at WrestleMania, you do Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. And I think that makes more storyline sense. And you can finally have Sami Zayn have a big moment at WrestleMania by beating the guy that's put him out of action for so many times, Kevin Owens. And I think that would be believable. And I would buy that. If they want to go down the Kevin Owens Brock Lesnar path, the only problem is I don't think Kevin Owens is ready for that match. I don't think he looks strong enough to be in that match because of the fact that he's lost. He hasn't really been featured like a monster until this past month. So I think they should do that Kevin Owens. Well, hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry for the interruption. I had to go eat real quick because the snow is being a pain, so we're not going to be able to get there in time. We're going to get something to eat, but that's just not going to happen now because the snow is a pain. So I was continuing with the WrestleMania talk. I was talking about the Kevin Owens, what they could possibly do with him going into WrestleMania. There was options they could go with Kevin Owens, like I talked about. They can go the Sami Zayn storyline, which is the better option, I think, to do the Sami Zayn storyline because they have more of a storyline. And I think it would make sense. The NXT fans would like it. The Ring of Honor fans would like it because they were on NXT. Well, at least Sami Zayn was like an original of NXT. Kevin Owens kind of came in and was gone really fast. But they were also on Ring of Honor together. They had many matches there. It would be cool if they got a nice WrestleMania match. I'm not asking for like a main event WrestleMania match, but if they wrestled at WrestleMania, I think people would dig it. And the storyline would work if they do it properly. That's the thing I'm worried about, is that they're not going to do it properly when it gets to the main roster. But what could happen is they could have Sami Zayn be a surprise entrance in the Royal Rumble, and they brawl. I don't even know if I've said this part already, but they brawl around for a while. And Kevin Owens just looks really strong, and Sami Zayn eliminates Kevin Owens, and that'd be cool. They could go down the Brock Lesnar path, though, with Kevin Owens, and that would make sense because Kevin Owens is pretty much the modern-day Brock Lesnar. He's the full-time version of Brock Lesnar. He's a beast. He destroys people, and Brock Lesnar's the same way. And they would work because Kevin Owens would be able to build the match up and let Brock's not there. And I just can't imagine what a Kevin Owens Paul Heyman promo would be like. That would be cool. And I think Kevin Owens would fit the heel properly, right? And he's that smoke beast. Brock Lesnar's just a beast, so I think that would be cool. So that's the stuff they can go in that direction. However, let's get to the matches that I do care about. I mean, I care about those matches, but the three main matches I care about, the three featured matches. But if Brock Lesnar, that would be the fourth one, But we got the title match, what they can do with The Rock, and the main event. Now, the main event, I think, is the only main event they can do for WrestleMania this year. But let's talk about the title match, because that's like the least important, even though it should be important. But I think with what I think they're going to do, that's the least important out of all of them. Like I had talked about, there's a lot of options they can go with the title match. I had originally thought they were going to do Roman Reigns versus Triple H for the belt, but I don't think they're going to do that now. I think now that The Rock's going to come in, I think they're going to completely change their plans. So let me talk about what I think is going to happen with the title going into WrestleMania. So obviously that starts with tonight with Reigns versus Sheamus, with Vince McMahon as the special guest referee. And obviously Roman Reigns is going to find a way to win. Either Vince will get knocked out and then another referee will come in, something like that. Or Vince will just have to make the count, but I think they'll do something like that. And then what would happen is after Reigns beats Sheamus, Triple H will return tonight and beat the crap out of Roman Reigns. Just beat the piss out of him, just like Roman Reigns did to him at TLC. So then they'll do a match between Roman Reigns and Triple H for the title at the Royal Rumble. And the referee will take a bump. And during the match, The Rock will come out. I think The Rock's going to make an appearance at the Rumble. Lay out Triple H, screw him out of the championship, and Roman Reigns will retain. And then he'll have a match at Fastlane. But then later on in the night, when we have the Royal Rumble, Brock Lesnar will win it. And it will be Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns 2 at WrestleMania. I think that's the match that makes the most sense. Just because they have unfinished business from last year, and I don't really know what else you could do with either guy otherwise. So then obviously I'm picking that they're gonna do The Rock versus Triple H at WrestleMania. If The Rock's gonna wrestle anyways, and I think that would make a lot of sense. That's the best way to utilize The Rock, and they were building in that match. They built to that match actually last year when they had The Rock and Ronda Rousey come out and do that promo segment. So why not do the match? I think it would work, and they have great chemistry together. They from the past, so I think that would make sense. But that's not going to be the main event. Because if it is going to be Undertaker's last match at WrestleMania in his hometown, then that needs to be the main event. That's the Undertaker's last match. He has been the heart and soul, pretty much, of the WWE. Vince has also obviously been the heart and soul, but he's been there through thick and thin since he came in. He was there for the WCW stuff. Undertaker needs to main event in his last match. Just because I'm a Moke, too, so I think that would make sense. But, however, who is going to face him? Now, I have no... Because that's a tough thing. I think they were originally going to do Sting, but Sting's hurt. But I don't really think that was going to work anyways with the way they were booking Sting. So the way they can go about this is they can have one guy face The Undertaker. The match that we wanted at WrestleMania, they never got, and that they should have done for when he had his streak. John, Felix, Anthony, Cena. They can do John Cena versus The Undertaker in the final match at WrestleMania. That would make a lot of sense. There's no one... Cena's beaten everybody. Undertaker's beaten everybody. These are the two guys that haven't beaten each other, so this is the match that they should do at WrestleMania. John Cena versus The Undertaker, and it would work. And that's just the WrestleMania main event. You wouldn't know who would win. Rock and Triple H, you pretty much would assume Rock would win. You could do Lesnar versus Reigns in the main event for the title, and you wouldn't really know who would go over there, but I think the match you want to do is Taker versus Cena. And then, so the card looks really good. I think this actually could be a believable WrestleMania card. Andre the Giant Memorial Battle. Yeah. But yeah, this is a believable. You believe in... So we'll believable with the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, the tag team title match with Cass winning, going over, with Team Soft, IC belt, Ambrose, Ziggler, the Divas title match. I mean, that's the match they want to do, so why not? League of Nations versus the Wyatts if they want to do that. No clue what I can do with Bray Wyatt. I'll come up with something better. Lesnar versus Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, the title match with Lesnar versus Reigns, Rock versus Triple H, and Taker versus Cena in the main event. I think this is a call that I would be fine if it broke the attendance record, and it would deserve it. So that's pretty much it for now. I'm going to be back later on to review SmackDown. So that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later. We'll talk to you when I review SmackDown. I am an idiot. Alright, so I'm an idiot because there's one thing I didn't even think that they could possibly do at WrestleMania, but that they could do at WrestleMania. And that's the NXT title match. They could actually do an NXT title match this year at WrestleMania. I'd buy it. That'd be cool. Oh, that's my phone going off. But the reason I think it'd be cool is because NXT's become its own thing now. Last year, I think they could have done it, but maybe it was too soon last year. NXT was still just getting into its peak. But now NXT became its own thing in 2015. And I personally think that this year they could do an NXT championship match at WrestleMania. And who could be in it? Why not have Samoa Joe walk in as the champion and face Apollo Crews? That would work. Or you can have Finn Balor have a triple threat match with Samoa Joe and Apollo Crews. And if you want to, you could even do another kickoff. You could just push the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal up to the real show. I didn't even think of that. I don't know why I didn't think of that. But yeah, that's the card. So I'm going to go over it again because I've been interrupted so often, which I apologize for. I didn't think I'd be interrupted this much. I don't think the interruptions will happen again. But yeah, that's the card I think could work for WrestleMania. So, they could do the NXT title match, either a triple threat with Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and Apollo Crews, or just a one-on-one match between Samoa Joe and Apollo Crews. Either way works. the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal with either Neville, The Miz, Bray Wyatt, or Luke Harper winning that. That would be fine. You can have the Divas title match, which is pretty much set in stone. Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. And somehow they, with Ric Flair in Charlotte's corner and Snoop Dogg in Sasha Banks' corner. You can have the tag team title match be The New Day versus Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. You can have Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship. You can have the League of Nations versus the Wyatt family. Or you can even have Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor if Finn Balor gets called up in time. That's an option right there. You can even what Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. I think that storyline would be better than Owens versus Lesnar. You can always save that for SummerSlam or something like that. And then the three main matches would be Reigns versus Lesnar for the title, The Rock versus Triple H, and the main event being John Cena versus The Undertaker. And I think this would be a solid WrestleMania card. I actually think this WrestleMania card would work. This would draw people in attendance. But it's not just about the match quality that you have to do to break the attendance record. You got to go all full on in. You got to make the arena. You got to make the arena or the setup look really good, because last year the problem was they filmed it outside. So then when Undertaker came out, it was light out, so that didn't really work. So there was a lot of missed opportunities that happened last year when they did it in the daylight. So hopefully they do that, because Stin's entrance could have looked really well done last year if the entrance. And if Stin is healthy enough in time, you can even throw him and you can have him wrestle Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. That would be tough, because that would be like a win-lose situation. But you know, it really wouldn't hurt Bray Wyatt that much, because Bray Wyatt is getting to wrestle Stin, and I know it's a little selfish, but I would really like to see Stin have a WrestleMania moment, or at least a moment in WWE where he looks strong. And unfortunately, Bray Wyatt has to fall victim to that, because let's be honest, who would really believe that Bray Wyatt could beat Stin? So that would be something. So now I'm going to go watch SmackDown, and then I think I'm going to close off this episode. But that's, you know, the options. And I'll repeat these maybe towards the end. Now, you know what? Instead of just me repeating them, I'm going to type in the Royal Rumble winners, my possible people, and the matches for WrestleMania that I have in mind that I would like to see in the comment section. So you guys can tune into that. But I'm going to go review SmackDown, and then I'll probably end off this video. Okay, so now I'm here to do my SmackDown review for December 31st, 2015. I don't know anything that happens on this show, so once I'm going to review the show, and as it goes to commercial, I'll pause it and give my thoughts on it, make smaller videos on it. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's start off the SmackDown review. Okay, so this is the New Year's Eve edition of SmackDown. I actually completely forgot to mention that, so they have like a lot of things going on. The main event's actually going to be Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose versus Sheamus and Kevin Owens, which actually looked like a really solid main event. And the commentators on the show, I believe, is Booker T, Rich Brennan, and Jerry the Kid Lawler. And it kicks off with the New Day, and they come out and cut a promo talking about how the new year is coming. And they talk about how 2015 was a very successful year for the New Day. Even though they didn't vote for them to be Tag Team of the Year, and everybody boos, and Big E says, "You're only booing yourself." And I thought that was great. And to be honest with you, I think they pumped in all these boos when they came out, but it cuts to these fans like dancing, doing the New Day stuff. So I thought that was kind of goofy. They cut a promo talking about how they need to come up with a New Year's resolution, because that's normally the time they do that. But they don't really need a New Year's resolution because they're great. They've been great all year long. And I thought that was great. And then they talk about how it's actually the fans that needs New Year's resolutions, because they don't really know what they really want, which is somewhat true. So they talk about how they should get every member of the WWE Universe should get glasses and hearing aids so they can hear and see the greatness of the New Day, which I already have one thing covered. Then what was the second one? trying to think. Oh, they have to keep a journal to remember all the moments of the New Day, so that way they can remember their greatness for next year. And they say, Kofi Kingston says, if they know how to write. So then they also say that they, every morning when they sprint out of bed, that they need to sing a song called New Day Rocks. I thought that was great. And then the Lucha Dragons come out, and Sin Cara was there, and he's in a sling from his shoulder, which I think it's ridiculous that he has to travel. This is why people keep getting injured, because they will force people to have them travel even when they're injured. I think it's stupid. And Kalisto says that they're just talking a bunch of bull crap, and he pretty much says that this award, the Breakout Star of the Year, is for the award of the people. And he challenges them to a match right now, since it's New Year's Eve. And the New Day just laughs at him, saying that it's pretty much going to be a 3-on-1 handicap match because Sin Cara is injured. And then Kalisto says that they have some friends, and the New Day says, you got no friends. So then the Dudley Boys come out with a table, and on it says, Happy New Year. So I thought that was great. I thought this was a great opening segment. Kalisto really needs to stay off the microphone, though. He's just terrible on the mic, and Sin Cara isn't much better. I think they should be the type of wrestlers that just do all the flying around and just let the wrestling ability do the talking for them, because they're really not that good on the microphone. It's not because, obviously Sin Cara has a language, but he's not terrible. But when he talks, he sounds like a robot, and then Kalisto sounds like Rey Mysterio. So I think they need to fix that. And then afterwards, Ryback cuts like one of those little video promos talking about what his New Year's resolution is. And his New Year's resolution is to give back to the less fortunate, go to all the clubs and all that stuff. It pretty much, obviously it sounded like he read it off a script, because he didn't really sound like that. But hey, I guess it was fine. So that's probably going to be a continuation. So yeah, I thought this was a great opening segment overall, though. Okay, so we get the Dudleys and Kalisto with Sin Cara inside versus the New Day. Good match. I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was a solid match. Really fun to watch. I thought the New Day was great as heels in the match. I thought, the match was good. There's nothing to say about it. Really fast-paced action. They get the heat on Kalisto for a while, and they do some great stuff with them. Then the Dudley Boys get the hot tag on, and they just hit their moves, hit their typical Dudley moves. If you watch wrestling before and you've seen a Dudley Boys match, you know what I'm talking about. On Kofi Kingston, and then they hit Big E with the 3D. Ooh, I thought that was a nice line. I didn't even mean to do that. Big E with the 3D. There you go. And then Kalisto beats Kofi Kingston with the Salida del Sol. Thought I muted that. Oh, okay, it's back. Okay, never mind. Forget it. But anyhow, and gets the win. Then afterwards, the Dudleys put Xavier Woods through a table, and then Becky Lynch cut a promo talking about what her New Year's resolution is, and I zoned out during that promo, so I'm sorry. She's just pretty much the female version of Sheamus from 2013. That's pretty much what Becky Lynch is now, and I think it's a joke. She has so much more potential, but they're making her really corny. She's pretty much Sheamus from 2013, so that's just how I feel. But good start to SmackDown so far. Okay, so we get Goldust versus Tyler Breeze with Summer Rae. It makes sense for them to have a match because of what Goldust did last week. Well, I guess 2 weeks ago now. I think it would have made more sense if you had a feud first where Goldust is just creeping on Tyler Breeze and Summer Rae. I think that would have made sense. And then you waited maybe until maybe the Royal Rumble kickoff to have a match, or you could have done a match maybe later on SmackDown. Just a thought. But whatever. I don't really think they care anyways. It wasn't even gonna be good, but whatever. The match was just kind of average. It was okay, but not the greatest. And Tyler Breeze wins by rolling him up and holding his foot on the ropes. Then afterwards, Tyler Breeze and Summer Rae say that they have an announcement that's bigger than Kanye West running for president in 2020. That what color the dress was, which I completely forgot about that. Pretty much all stuff that's forgettable. And they say that you think they're gonna get engaged, but Tyler Breeze and Summer Rae say that they're going their separate ways. And they're gonna take one final selfie together, and then that's it. I'm fine with them going in their separate ways because there's really no reason for them to be together now. Now that the feud with Dolph Ziggler's over, there's no real reason for them to keep them together. I hope Tyler Breeze doesn't get hurt from this, and he continues to do, because he's doing okay on the main roster. I mean, I think he could be utilized a little bit better, but he's doing okay. They haven't completely screwed up with him yet. But we're going to have to wait and see. But that's really it. I don't think anything else happened. So, yeah, this was just kind of average, though. Alright, so, Bo Dallas is backstage wearing a Happy New Year's hat. And, he goes up to people backstage. He starts off with Curtis Axel, talking about how he had a terrible year last year. And he could, turn that all around if he has a revolution, actually, which is pretty much a New Year's revolution. Curtis Axel said that he had a great year last year because he was never eliminated from the Royal Rumble last year, and when he enters it this year, he'll never be eliminated again. That'll be the second year in a row he wasn't eliminated, and he'll fight for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And then Bo Dallas says, well, what you could really use is some deodorant, because that's going to be like something small could start off to be something big as long as you have a revolution. And then he says, I know what your revolution is. They have an autograph for me. And then it's just this random blonde lady. And he tells her to never wash her hands. Then Dolph Ziggler comes up and says that he tells him to stop dressing up like the New Year's baby. Which reminded me when Big Show dressed up like the New Year's baby a couple of years ago. And then Bo Dallas says that you make jokes, but they're not actually funny. So that should be your revolution. And Dolph Ziggler says you should focus on your match tonight because as long as you, and then he goes to walk away, and then he goes to Superkick and says, Bo, leave. This was just corny and bad. I understand it's New Year's Day humor, but still, come on. This is just corny and bad. If they're not going to use Bo Dallas property, then just send him back down to NXT or just release him in general. And, I don't really know why they don't use Dolph Ziggler properly. I mean, at least give him a mid-card title. That's not even enough anymore, actually, either. Do something with him. Just terrible. And we're about to get a match between the Usos versus Luke Harper and Braun Strowman with Eric Rowan ringside. I kind of wish they would have had Eric Rowan team up with them instead because they have great tag team matches and Braun Strowman just needs to get out of professional wrestling in general, so yeah, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Okay, so we get the tag match with the Usos versus Luke Harper and Braun Strowman with Eric Rowan ringside. Why didn't they put Eric Rowan in the match instead? It would have been a better match because Strowman just blows. You can't defend him. He just blows. He absolutely is crap. He's just absolute crap. He sucks. So I don't know. The match wasn't that bad, though, because Luke Harper worked most of the match. I think Strowman did, like, a few things in the match. And eventually one of the Usos hits 2 super kicks on Strowman, then super kicks Eric Rowan, and then all of a sudden he just catches his foot, gets him in the choke, and then he's just out, whatever. Didn't make any sense. Braun Strowman just sucks. At least the Wyatts look strong out there, so that was cool. And I don't think anything else happened. But the match was okay, and I'm just not a huge Braun Strowman fan. I think he needs to just get out of wrestling in general. Alright, so next we get a Divas tag team match. It's Tamina Snuka and Naomi versus Brie Bella and Alicia Fox. The match was boring, I thought. And Brie Bella beats Naomi with the face buster. I didn't care. Oh, and then The Miz talked about how his New Year's resolution is he doesn't need one. And yeah, it's just bad. Okay, so we get Bo Dallas versus Dolph Ziggler. This was just an average match. I thought Bo Dallas looked pretty strong in the match. And Dolph Ziggler wins with a super kick. And then that was it, really. The show's almost over, so it's got that going for it. So yeah. Okay, so that was the end of the show. We get the main event: Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose versus Kevin Owens and Sheamus. And I thought this was a nice way to build up two matches. Well, I guess technically they're saying Kevin Owens is facing Ambrose for the IC belt, but I don't think they announced. They didn't really officially announce it. They just said two challengers, so I'm not sure what that means. But this was the way to build up the match between Reigns and Sheamus for Monday night. I thought this was a solid tag team match. The heels get the heat on Ambrose for a while, and then Roman Reigns gets the hot tag, hits all his moves on Sheamus, and then Owens pulls Reigns and sends him groin first into the steel post, and this causes disqualification. So then they just start beating the crap out of Reigns. They throw him into the steel steps, and Ambrose dives on Sheamus, but then he gets super kicked by Owens, and then Owens tries to powerbomb Ambrose through the announce table again, and he forces Sheamus to make him watch, but Reigns elbows Sheamus in the face, goes off the announce table and hits a Superman punch on Kevin Owens, and he ends up getting sent into the crowd. And then Sheamus goes to throw Ambrose into the post, but Ambrose reverses and throws him into the post, and then Reigns spears him, and then they celebrate with their titles. And that was the end of SmackDown. And yeah, I thought the main event was solid, and I thought it was good. So overall, I thought SmackDown actually was an average show. This was the last SmackDown of the year, and I just thought it was an average show. Maybe nobody was going to watch this show anyways because it was New Year's Eve, so they were getting ready to watch the ball drop. I'm not sure. But I thought the beginning was good with the New Day and the six-man tag team match they had. And I thought the main event was good. And that's about it. I thought everything else was just kind of either average or just bad in general. So overall, if I had to give SmackDown a rating, I would say it would be 5 out of 10. So that's what I just thought of SmackDown. Okay, so before I end off this video, I want to talk about SmackDown going to the USA Network. I talked about this, I think, before on this. Well, I didn't talk about this before, but I knew about it. I think it's been announced since the summertime, pretty much. They announced it in, like, the summer that SmackDown was going to the USA Network. And the real reason why is because WWE lost not a lot of money, but enough money where they can't afford to have Raw and SmackDown on different networks. But you know what? It's just better to do it this way anyways, because one is just easier to have it on the same network, just because it just overcomplicates things. I don't know why they don't just put it on the same network. Another reason is because I actually think USA Network's a better place for SmackDown to be than Sci-Fi, because one, it doesn't really make any sense that SmackDown's on Sci-Fi when there's a lot of shows that when SmackDown's not really a sci-fi type of show. When you have shows like Z Nation and you have what's that other show called? Haven, and you have like the Ghost Hunters and all that stuff. So I think it makes more sense to put I mean, SmackDown doesn't really fit with Sci-Fi. It doesn't really, I guess, fit with USA either, but I mean, I think it actually fits pretty well. And I think they know USA Network better anyways. I think it makes sense to have them be on USA just because of the fact that they know USA because Monday Night Raw has been there for a while. So maybe SmackDown will improve because of that. We're going to have to wait and see because it could get better. USA Network might be able to produce some better content if it goes on the USA Network. We're going to have to wait and see. It already looks like a good start because next week, John Cena is going to be on SmackDown. So the fact that Cena's going to be there is going to make it a show you want to see because it's not often John Cena shows up on SmackDown, a guy like Cena. So maybe they'll actually start making some better SmackDown shows. We don't know, right? But we're going to have to wait and see. But that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Sorry for the constant interruptions, but it was just... I probably should have time managed when I was going to make this video because I had to rush to get to the doctors, but I was trying to do this video at the same time, so I probably shouldn't have even done that. But I am going to post who I think should win the Royal Rumble and what my fantasy WrestleMania card is in the comments, since I had to say it so many times, but I had to say it really fast. And if you guys want to leave your thoughts on who you think is going to win the Royal Rumble, and for who you think is going to, what you think the WrestleMania card will be, then you feel free. And actually, there's actually another surprise. There's going to be another episode coming for this week. Yes, there is. There was going to be an episode coming this Thursday. I'm going to try to shoot to happen after SmackDown, so I'll have to watch SmackDown live next week. And I'm actually going to do an episode of SmackDown this Thursday. Not SmackDown, sorry. An episode of the Aftershock Corner this Thursday. I'm gonna see who I can have on it. I don't really know how we're gonna do the episode though, since Google Hangout has sucked. So maybe I'll try to see if we can do it off of Hangout. And if it doesn't work off of Hangout, we'll just do it what we did before. I'm just worried to see how it's gonna go. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. And I hope you guys tune in on Thursday, and I'll talk to you guys then. And I forgot to mention, make sure you guys subscribe to all the stuff down below, and this channel in general. I'm sorry. But yeah, thank you guys, and I'll talk to you guys on Thursday.